Hello, collective. I'm so happy to be back with you, bringing you the moon reports. I really, really missed you. But I was so happy to take that time off and gift myself that time because it was really the most special time and the most celebratory moment, definitely in my life, aside from the birth of my son. So I am eternally grateful. I want to start by saying to all of you for all your messages or chiming in along the way and commenting on the wedding or on the honeymoon or just sending me like the best vibes. This collective is always a place that I can rely on for support, and you guys definitely brought it hard. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And now I'm happy to be back, bringing you all the juicy information. And I'm kind of loving that I'm back on a new moon in Scorpio. That is my husband's sign and definitely a sister sign for me since I'm a Cancer. So I'm really feeling the vibes of this moon. And let me tell you, it's not a perfect one, but really, can we look around for a second? Is there anything going on that's perfect? And this is the planet for all of us. And for those of you who are new in this space, sorry about that. For those of you who are new in this space, I want to welcome you. I want to invite you to join us on the Zoom live next time. And I really want you to be part of this from now on. So if you have any comments or anything about the report or like, what the hell is she talking about a certain planet or a certain aspect, please, I encourage you to always leave me a comment, send me a DM, reach out to me at the Modern Mystique and Instagram. Mighty Networks is always a place that we can like jam out either in the salon or on the feed. So please ask me. I love answering questions, especially about astrology and tarot. So when this particular moon is a new moon in Scorpio, and it is coming at us at the very early three. I had this in my head. What was it? Three something in the morning. It was like 3:30 in the morning, 3:34, something like that. And it happened this morning. And we were really feeling the effects of it leading up to this moment because it happened in the late degrees of Scorpio, what we call the third decan of Scorpio. And what that means is just that very shortly after the new moon, it switched over to Libra. And we are feeling more of the relationship vibes now from this moon. So if you were feeling the intensity, and all of a sudden today you kind of feel a little bit of a release, this moon is a new moon, and primarily new moons are about new beginnings, setting things in motion, starting something new, moving forward on a new idea. But this also feels like a release kind of moon that particularly happens more on a full moon. But since it's Scorpio, it's all about letting go. Scorpio is about that death and rebirth and regeneration space. And yes, I'm talking about it sometimes being in a physical sense, but primarily the way Scorpio shows up for us on a daily basis is more about the transformation that happens in our personal lives, in our professional lives, in our relationships, in our careers, in all the areas of our life where things feel like a mini death, where you're like, holy moly, like I am not even the same person. And sometimes it happens gradually, sometimes it happens quick. And this new moon may bring quick insights and quick revelations. And that has to do with Uranus, which is aspecting, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So the first thing I want to say about this new moon is get in the right headspace. This is a time to be intentional. Stay intentional, stay the course, because not everything is how it seems at the moment. There's a lot of manipulation coming from different people, places, things, media, information. Like, this is not the time to rely on so much of what is being told to you. And it's not necessarily conscious from everyone. People are out there shooting from the hip, and they don't necessarily mean to hurt you, but you may get kind of like scarred in the battle. You know, people's shadows are out there causing a muck. And if you're in the wrong place with the wrong person at the wrong time, and you're not intentional, and all of a sudden you're not present, in the words of one of my teachers, Mariana Lopez, shit gets fucked up. If there is no presence, shit gets fucked up. So stay intentional, because whether someone wants to get you involved in their drama or not, it is up to you whether you're going to lose focus, whether you're just going to be emotionally psycho bitch mode. Because you can totally go there right now with this. But the beauty of it, and this is why I said you can make this magical if you want to, is if you can stay in integrity with your intention. There might be emotional goals set. Words are hard. There might be emotional goal setting. Fuck that shit. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for the big fucking unrealistic fucking goal. And Scorpio curses. So I'm embodying that today. So there'll be a lot of fucks. Because this is possible. I want to show you how things can get off the rails in places where you think you're actually like, oh, I'm goal setting, you know, like I'm making things, I'm dreaming big. Oh, I'm doing the thing. Okay, but did you take step A, B, and C before you got to D? Because you're going to have to talk to some people, and people need to get the memo that you're doing the thing. So if it's not happening for you, where did you kind of lose your way in the process? Where did you go on an all high, and then now you're having to kind of reevaluate, maybe bring death to some of these ideas, and then be reborn into something new? Because there's always a way, but we have to watch being a bit too emotional about getting there. With Scorpio, it can get emotional, intense, fast, and radical. So make sure that you're always kind of looking at the shades of gray, and maybe being like, okay, I want to get here. So what is 2 steps back from that, so that I can then move forward? Are my relationships right? Because remember what I said in the beginning, right after this moon hit, it went into Libra. So it's highlighting, again, I know ad nauseum, this is with the relationships. It's just been the whole thing, like since the Venus thing and the eclipses. I get it. But look, the North Node and the South Node are in Aries and Libra. And what I mean by that is that the moon has these nodes, the North and the South. The North tells us where we're going, Aries. The South tells us where we're coming from, Libra. So we're going to be in this relationship dynamic for about a year. So North Node Aries, where do you self-preserve in the light of others? How do you bring compassion to relationships, even when you're trying to create boundaries, when you're preserving who you are, where you're not letting other people's shit get in the way? This is going to be constant, and it's going to show up in different ways. And we need to decide what it is that we can get our hands on and do something about and change, and where is it that we need to let go and see where that exists inside of us. How do we tackle that thing that we have no control over? Well, there has to be some reflection of it inside of me. Where can I see that in the way that I preserve myself or in my relationships? So conversations, may come up during this time. Stay reflective, like I mentioned, stay real with yourself. Is not a time to bullshit yourself because manipulation is everywhere. You want to catch a delusion? There are so many out there. Like ride whatever train you want, and you can make it something delusive at this time. Where is the Black Lilith type archetype being shown to you? And what I mean by Black Lilith is that dark feminine aspect that's angry, that is tired of seeing itself stuck in the same place, that has been gathering up shadows. And it's mostly within ourselves that these things are going to show up for you. Now, they may be outwardly manifesting themselves to show you something. So stay aware. This moon is conjuncting Mars. Mars was the old ruler of Scorpio. So Mars has a lot of power with Scorpio. Mars can be destructive, or Mars can propel you forward like a rocket. Where is it that you want to be when you receive the rocket fuel? Are you ready to contain it? Do you have the capacity in the room? Have you let enough things die? And if you haven't, this is your opportunity to just leave it behind so that that new thing can transmute into a higher level, so that you can evolve in power. The thing with Scorpio, man, it's like, it's complex. It's people, astrologers dedicate their entire careers sometimes to just figuring out Scorpio because it has so many levels of power. And when we're dealing with power, we have been taught to be like, oh, power. I don't know. I give my power to blank. My mom, God, right? Fill in the blank with whoever you want. But if we can, throughout our life, learn how to have a relationship with power from its primal level, which is the power we're dealing with during this new moon. Primal, scorpionic, low vibes, as we like to call it in the new age community, And we all have that inside of us. Some of the areas of Scorpio have been evolved into higher levels, ultimately maybe reaching the phoenix that rises from the ashes and it's born onto itself, better, higher. But to get there, we need to climb the levels or evolve into the levels of power. And it's time to see what is required to die so that you can evolve to a higher level of power. Where is the new rebirth available for you? Is it in that relationship where you're like lying to yourself that you're not talking shit about the person, but every chance you get, you talk shit? Or you're like, oh my God, I'm done with him. I'm not going back to him. And then you're sneaking around and having booty calls with him later. Like it's that type of energy that is secretive and manipulative. And you may be acting out in a certain way, and behind the scenes, you're like, dude, I'm doing the same shit. Patterns, patterns, patterns. Take a look at them. Like I mentioned before, this moon is opposing Uranus in Taurus. With Uranus, another level of manipulation happens at a higher level, at a more secretive level. And it's hard to pinpoint, and it usually can manifest in a way of where do you have power over others? And are you using that power effectively? Do you shy away from that power? Do you use it abusively? Is somebody using it abusively towards you? Reflective. Search and you will find where this scorpionic energy is. But be patient. This is a dark moon. As the light of the moon increases into its full eventual illumination, you may begin to see these things. And they will probably be in relationships. So where are the deep-rooted traumas? Like, I've been reading this book. I love it. It's called, do I have it here? No. Oh, no, I have it propped under my laptop, but it's called Change Your Story, Change Your Life. And it reminds me of these iceberg moments that we have, right? Like, when like the Titanic was going towards the iceberg, and it's like, yeah, it saw the tip of the iceberg coming up from the water. But that really wasn't the problem, was it? It was what was under the mammoth iceberg that was under the water that really caused the main damage that brought the ship to sink within 3 hours, I believe. So where can you put your shaman goggles on and go under the water and take a look at the icebergs in your life? The repetitive stories that keep you in the same relationship, in the same job, in the same mediocre life, where you're watching excellence from the sidelines, but you're not participating in the game. And take a real look at what's under that. Because it's really great sometimes because we see the tip of the iceberg and then we're like, oh, we have affirmations for that. And let me grab my crystal. And, all these are great tools and they work. But we're the ones that give them meaning. They're just a tool. So sometimes we're looking at the tip of the iceberg and we're trying to treat it with an affirmation, but we really haven't taken the time to look under that and see where the real deep-rooted problem is, and then do the shadow work that's necessary to really get around this monster. Integrate it. So we'll be given, with this opposition to Uranus, we'll be given a new perspective to our wounds, to our traumas, to what motivates us, our desires, the shadows that come along with those desires, the areas that we don't give ourselves permission to have the damn desire. Stay reflective. And there's an opportunity to learn here. Mercury is in Sagittarius, so it could get a little bit, like, where is it that you're so dogmatic or rigid in your communication with yourself and others? Like, it's time to learn how to communicate. It's time to I have these standards, but like, okay, am I being like overly judgmental? Am I not giving a person the opportunity to talk if I'm invested in the relationship? Because if you're not invested in the relationship, it's a choice, collective. Like, do I want to be in this relationship? Do I care about the outcome of this relationship? And then we can determine how much energy we're going to give it. But it's also time to let those kinds of relationships that just suck and suck and suck from you to just die. So don't be surprised if something just goes in the next few weeks. And it's time to learn. It's not time to be in your ego and be like, oh, I know how to do this. If you honestly don't, if you honestly are not authentically on the path, get the support that you need, reach out to that friend, come to the collective events, show up in your in-person cafecitos, meet your fellow collective members. There's always something to learn from everyone if you just shut up and listen sometimes. And that's what we need to do. And it's not about, oh, shut up, stop talking. It's here. It's mindset. It's like, let it in. Let it into your cheetah, to your chatter of the mind. The Seven of Cups is the tarot card of this moon. And with the Seven of Cups, it's like the head in the clouds kind of energy. And this is bringing it back to what we talked about at the beginning. If you don't stay present, shit gets fucked up. And especially right now with psycho bitch mode, you know, making the rounds, trying to embody whoever's ready to receive her. And you don't want it to be you. But the power, if we can cut through the confusion, if we can stop making sandcastles by the seashore, and we can start building on real foundations, having the real conversations with yourself and others. You know, this is also about the untamed ego. When you let the ego run wild, you know, and try to do the feminine thing. You know, this is also a very seductive kind of energy, rooted in deception. So that is deceiving may be very seductive, very Scorpio. And I'm laughing because it's not that serious either. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's flow. Remember, Scorpio's still a water sign. I know it's like ice, you know, but it's still water. It could be fluid. If we can find, if we stay away from the polarities where it tends to, you know, the radical behavior that it tends to bring with it, if we can stay somewhere in the middle, you know, intentional, mindful, present, with courage, with trust, then this can also be a really cool moon to get into your witch, you know, and like do like a home cleansing or like work on your altars, light some stuff up for your ancestors. Like right now, it feels ever since I want to say Halloween, but even before that, it feels. I know that the veils are always thin, but I feel the veils really, really thin right now. And I think that if we can stay in the presence of prayer, in the presence of communicating with our ancestors, in the presence of inviting the spirits and the light beings who love and support us. Remember, be really intentional with your words about who you're inviting in, whether it's in a physical sense or a spiritual sense. A lot of people poo-poo this kind of work because they say you open up to all realms at the same time. There's a fear there about that. But if you stay intentional with your word, who are you inviting in? Your ancestors from your mother's lineage or from your father's lineage? The angels that help you with communication or the angels that help you with decision making? The beings and light beings that love and support me, or just everybody who's here to coming to the party. This is a good time to learn. Like learn about ceremonial work, learn about ritual work. I have a great online workshop called Altars, Ceremonies, and Rituals that goes through why these things are important, why we want to bring them back into our life, and they've been part of human history for such a long time. And I share a few little cool ceremonies with you that you know, that can kind of set you in some sort of pace, or you can just follow along with me. So hit me up about that. I will put it in Mighty Networks as well. As soon as this is up on YouTube, I will put it in the comment section on YouTube where you can find that workshop, or you can go now to marlenemenendez.com and go to services, and you will find that video there. But you know, whether it's me or anyone else, like get deep into these things during this time, because you know Scorpio really invites us to look behind that veil, and to not be afraid to face our shadows, and not be afraid to ask for help from our ancestors or the spirit world to help us have the courage to work on our lives here, because you are who they dreamt of when they did what they did. You are here to continue either their legacy or their demise. It's up to you. Okay? Love you so much. Big, big hug. Thank you as always for sharing space with me and bringing in your energy. And I will see you at the full moon collective. Bye.